movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is episode 34. We've got a lot of news that kind of developed over the past day or two. We already had a lot of news topics, but we've got even more. It's going to be a very news-packed episode, but also we've got a great discussion coming up of the best / our favorite action movies, like straight-up action movies. But first, before we get to that, Josh, how you doing tonight?
I'm hanging in there, man. It's been a week. Houston has been hit like real hard lately as far as rain goes, and so we've all been kind of dealing with that. And the past few weeks have been a little rough, but we're starting to be on the up and up, man.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it's been really raining on my end here too. The past 2 days I've checked out the window on my lunch break, and it's just nighttime, and it's terrifying.
It really is.
Well, speaking of terrifying, our first news topic of the day is the It Chapter 2 trailer. Now, this dropped last Thursday, so a little after last week's episode, but we're talking about it now. And I'll be honest, I really like this trailer. I didn't know if I would or not, primarily because while I like the story of It, and I like the original, was it 1990 miniseries, I think the first half of the story is significantly stronger than the second half, so I don't really know what I was expecting. I think the story's more interesting when they're kids. It's more engaging when they're kids. That being said, I'm so seeing this movie. This looks fantastic.
Oh, it really does, and I think the strength of the trailer is the audience knowing that it's It, and Beverly just not catching on. So we're all waiting for him to reveal himself or to do something weird or what have you, and he finally does. Oh man, great stuff! And the stuff that's happening in the background oh man, it's great trailer.
That I'm really on board with Jessica Chastain as Beverly. She seems like pitch perfect casting. That was like the one character everyone was like, "Yep, it needs to be Jessica Chastain." And everyone was like fan casting, and sure enough, we've got her as Bev. And I love that trailer, but I especially like when she's talking to the old lady, and she's like, everything dies in Derry eventually, and everything just stops. And it's so uncomfortable. It's great. You got that close-up shot of the old lady, music just cuts out, and they linger on it, really making you feel uncomfortable. Most other trailers, they'd cut it for time. They really draw this uncomfortable silence out, and I love that.
Well, and something that I really like about that moment is it really harkens back to the first trailer, which the first trailer for the first one was the interaction between Georgie and It in the sewer. And there's a few moments in that trailer when It, as Pennywise, does things that are just a little bit off. And it instantly you catch on. Okay, there's something much darker here. So they do it again with this old. And I remember reading something about it, about when they did it in the first movie, of them talking about how the fact that It is literally just pretending to be these humans. He doesn't understand how they actually interact, and so he just kind of pretends and figures it out as he goes. And so then, whenever weird things happen and those uncomfortable silences that happen, like in this trailer, they're literally just It, like not knowing quite what to do as a human. And so he falls back on what's him and what he is in this odd, scary being. And just, it's just super interesting. And it's the little details for me that really make this trailer.
There's a couple parts that I unintentionally laughed at. And I'm sure I wasn't supposed to be. I was supposed to be creeped out, but I actually was kind of laughing because I was thinking of other things. There's a shot in the trailer where she's like looking at all the old pictures at the old lady's house, and she sees a picture of what I'm assuming is It years ago as a dude next to somebody else. Is it just me, or does It in that picture look like a young Michael Keaton?
Are you a young Michael who?
A young Michael Keaton, a young Batman.
Oh, dude.
I'm like, that's not It. That's Michael Keaton.
I hate you for making me think that now.
Like, go back and watch the trailer. Man. When they show the picture, it's Michael Keaton.
Oh, why would you make me think that?
But then also, the last of the parts in the trailer with the old lady, like you see, like a shot of clearly the naked grandma running towards her from like you just see the bottom of her legs. I wasn't thinking scary. I was thinking that scene from The Visit with the sleepwalking.
Stop. Oh my gosh. I think my favorite thing right now that's coming, besides the actual trailer itself, is the memes that are coming from the trailer.
Know it.
Oh, like, so the scene where Beverly's looking at the wall and we see the naked grandma, like,
when you forget your towel.
Yeah, I've seen when you forget your towel, when your drunk friend doesn't know what he's doing and you don't pay attention to them for like 5 seconds. It just, they've been fantastic. But
is it just me, or does James McAvoy looks so much older than everyone else? Like, I guess I'm just kind of used to seeing him as Professor X, but he looks so much older, I think, with the gray hair that they've given him.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's almost, with the story I think they're going to be telling, here is James's character, he's because that's Georgie's brother, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So he's going to be taking this harder than everybody else. And honestly, just because you defeated it doesn't mean that the loss of Georgie to that creature isn't going to still affect him.
Yeah. I like that they show some quick teases of them all getting together at the Chinese restaurant before everything goes sideways. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that scene is going to be like for a more modern movie.
In general, I'm looking forward to the final battle.
Yeah, and seeing if he actually turns into a giant tarantula.
Like. I mean, they could.
I don't think they're going to introduce the magical turtle in this one.
It would definitely come from nowhere if they did, because even in the first one, they never really define what it is.
Well, they at least had a reference to the turtle. There's a scene where Bill picks up a Lego turtle. That's
fair, but like that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't want the solution to be how do we defeat it. We take drugs and we have a special meeting with a cosmic turtle. Doesn't really work for a movie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's not going to stop them from trying.
Stephen King's done dumber stuff. I enjoyed this trailer. It gets me hyped for this movie. I was starting to get nervous because we hadn't gotten a trailer. I love all the casting we've gotten. I love Bill Hader as Richie. It looks spot on. I'm just excited to see what we get for this. Like you said, I'm really excited to see the final battle, see how they do it this time around. Yeah, I think they can really pull off some truly terrifying things, and I'm looking forward to that. I greatly enjoyed the first It. Now it's not going to be a surprise anymore. Now there's going to be some serious expectations. So let's see if they can deliver for part 2.
Absolutely.
Now, something I don't know if it has expectations on it or not, given the series that it's attached to, I'd imagine it's got pretty high standards. But HBO just released its first teaser trailer for its upcoming Watchmen TV series, which is set after the events of the comic and the movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Because that was going to be my first question, because I hadn't seen anything about when it was set. And given the trailer, I could tell it wasn't the comic or the movie.
Yes, it takes place after the ending of the comic and the movie, which, spoiler alert, Rorschach more or less reveals to the world the whole grand plan, and now we have this.
Yes. So, I'm curious, actually, before I go, what did you think of the trailer?
Confusing, but intriguing.
Yes, I'm with you. It was definitely
striking
confusing.
Visuals.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think this could be HBO's next big show. I think it has the potential for it. It definitely feels like it's got a political intrigue level to it.
Which, if people start complaining about Watchmen being too political, or it wasn't political before,
Oh, bro, shut. Just be
Yeah,
quiet.
you can't complain about Watchmen being political.
The whole movie's about it.
It's revolutionary in its storytelling in how on the nose political it is for a comic book of its time.
Oh, absolutely. Now, granted, that being said, I don't think the original movie is as good as people make it out to be, but
I think it's my favorite Zack Snyder superhero movie.
Yeah, but that's put up against what?
Yeah. As a movie, it can be a bit long, but I do quite enjoy Watchmen. I agree it's not nearly as great as some people herald it to be. The funny thing is with Watchmen, people either say it's like it's the best comic book movie ever, or it's awful and it's an embarrassment to the comic. I'm somewhere in the middle of it, just like it's good. Too long, but this is the type of movie Zack Snyder should be making, not Superman and Batman. That being said, I'm curious about this show. The opening shot of all the clearly Rorschach has like a cult now of all those Rorschachs in the church. That is very unsettling and has some very unsettling illusions to it.
Oh, absolutely. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and spoiler alert here. Doesn't Rorschach die at the end of Watchmen?
Yes. So I'd imagine these people are like, he was a martyr and they like follow what he stood for. Yeah,
that's what I would think. But some of the ways that some of the stuff they're saying comes across doesn't necessarily fit into that vein. So we'll have to see, man. I don't know. If anything, it's intrigued me, and that's more than what they were doing before. So I'll give them points.
Yeah, considering this, for how big of a name Watchmen is, it seems to have gone under the radar for a lot of people. So hopefully this brings attention to it. Something that I completely missed on my first viewing of the trailer is we get a shot of Ozymandias, played by Jeremy Irons in it.
Really?
Yeah, he's the dude with his sitting cross-legged, meditating on something.
Oh, is this what Jeremy Irons was doing instead of being Scar in Lion King?
Yeah, I guess. But saying Jeremy Irons is playing Ozymandias, that gets me interested. Very much so, just because Jeremy Irons is a great talent.
He really is.
So I'll be curious. I don't have HBO, but I'll check out other people's opinions on this. If it seems good, I'll give it a chance. But as far as a teaser trailer goes, it gets me interested, and that's the whole point of a teaser trailer. So, job well done there, Watchmen.
Yep.
Now,
you know what I'm not interested in?
Yeah, I think I know.
Our next story.
Yeah, 90s kids beware, you might get triggered.
Here's the thing, all right? I mean, I think the Hollywood rule is if it's been 8 years, it's free game. But
this has been like 18 years.
Oh, it's over a decade.
So
yeah,
before we keep going, Josh, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reboot.
Starring Olaf / Josh Gad as the main character. Now, here, before you go any further, Josh, I did some research, as I do. The vernacular being thrown around with this is super confusing. They're saying it's not a reboot and it's not a sequel. Yet Josh Gad will be playing one of the children of Wayne Selinsky. So is it a continuation of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or not? In which case, it's not a reboot. It's a sequel.
Wait. What?
Yeah, that's what I'm scratching my head about too. I forget where I read it, but supposedly Josh Gad is playing one of the Selinsky kids.
Oh, okay.
The only way I will be on board with this movie, but I don't think it'll happen because he left a long time ago. The only way I would ever possibly be on board with a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie or sequel or reboot or whatever the heck they're deciding to call it is if they get Rick Moranis back. Rick Moranis has been retired for years now, ever since his wife passed away from cancer. He quit acting to take care of his kids. That is awesome. Proud of him for that. He is more or less the face of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You can't do it without him, even if you're trying to pass the torch to Josh Gad, who I don't have any issues with in any sense, but if you
He's
say
not
Honey,
that
I Shrunk
guy.
the Kids and you tell me Rick Moranis isn't involved, I'm not interested. That's like saying we're making Spaceballs 2 without Lord Darkhelmet.
Yeah. Here's the thing, man. 90s comedy needs to stay back there. You know me, man. I love 90s comedy, but it doesn't work in today's plane.
Yeah, so I got something to get off my chest. When I first saw this, I didn't really care, but I knew a lot of people would. For me personally, I knew of it, and I think I saw all of them at one point or another. But I was never the biggest fan of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It was just kind of there. I remember seeing more commercials for it in front of my Disney VHSs more than actually seeing the movie itself.
Yeah.
Like, did you grow up watching it a lot, or were you like me,
No.
if you're more familiar with it, but you didn't watch it a ton?
I think I watched the first one a few times, and that was it.
Yeah,
'Cause
for the life of me,
I
besides
remember,
what the actual shrink gun looks like, primarily because it was a prop on a Disney ride for a lot of years. Other than that, I don't know if I can recall any actual details about the movie.
For some reason, I have Vince Vaughn in my head who's in it, and that can't be right.
I don't think Vince Vaughn was in that.
Yeah, exactly. So that should tell you how much I
The
actually
dad
remember
from
about the movie.
Xenon, I think, was in it, which is a
Maybe?
very 2000s thing to say.
Exactly. So it's not something that's going to work. I don't know, man.
I would much rather see Josh Gad as Penguin, which has also been rumored to be happening for quite a while.
Interesting.
He'd be a good addition to the DC cinematic universe, which perfectly dovetails us into our next topic, The Suicide Squad. It feels like we talk about this movie every other week, but now we have some very interesting developments. Now, we already had more or less confirmed for us that Idris Elba would be in the film in some capacity, and we were already kind of speculating as to who he would be. Some people were saying he was going to be Deadshot, replacing Will Smith. That got shot down as not true. Then some people, ourselves included, were speculating that he could be playing Bronze Tiger, which would make a lot of sense. However, now the rumors are stating that he's playing Deathstroke, which I am very conflicted on this news. Josh, what are your thoughts on this?
So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind of information. I am conflicted because a part of me wants Idris Elba to be someone else in the DC universe, villain wise or other, and just let Will Smith keep being Deathstroke. However,
Will Smith is Deadshot. Joe Manganiello is Deathstroke.
Oh, you serious? Okay, I've read the notes wrong then. Oh yeah, this is a much bigger deal than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We already have it. Josh is freaking out, and as am I. We already have a Deathstroke in the DC universe. The end credits of Justice League has Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor recruiting Joe Manganiello to be Deathstroke. And we see him in everything, in costume. And he looked fantastic.
Even the
I
voice
think it would
was
be
great.
a huge mistake to recast somebody before they even have a chance to show what they can do in the role, even if it is Idris Elba. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Idris Elba as an actor, and I'm super excited to see him in the DCEU, or whatever we're calling it these days. That being said, Deathstroke? Really? We already have somebody as Deathstroke. We don't really need to recast him already, and also, there's so many other characters you could go with.
It's both a positive and a negative right now, I think, because right now it's obvious that the DC universe is trying really hard to uproot what Zack Snyder laid down and try to make something that is built for the future, which is totally, I'm down with that, because so far what they're going with it makes a lot of sense, and they've gotten some good traction going. However, Joe was perfect. Like, as far as look and everything, like, that looked like a Deathstroke ripped straight from the comics.
Yeah, he looks so spot on. It's not even funny. Up until this point, my favorite Deathstroke was the one in Arrow. Manu Bennett was awesome and the best thing about Arrow. And then we saw Joe Manganiello look spot on for Deathstroke. And I was super excited to see what he was going to bring to the table. The rumors for a while there that he was going to be one of the main villains in the standalone Batman film. And those rumors have been around forever. I remember I made a fan-made trailer of Batman vs. Deathstroke, which you can still find on the YouTube channel. And that was years ago. So whether this puts the kibosh on those rumors that we're getting Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke in a Batman movie, now that Ben Affleck is officially gone as well, yeah, I don't know what to make of this. And I love Idris Elba, but I don't know if this is necessarily the right choice here.
I mean, I'm down. Okay, so if we take Joe out of the picture, so let's say that was never a thing that happened. If they just said Idris Elba is going to be Deathstroke, and that was our first impression, then yeah, I'm super down. Idris Elba is an incredible actor, an incredible action actor. I have no problem with that. But Joe looked amazing, and from the little we got from him, I was super down.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. I don't really know what to make of the Suicide Squad, or whether it's a reboot, whether it's a sequel in continuity or not. However, there is some good news coming out of the Suicide Squad, as it seems like we may have somebody else added to the cast. This one, a bit more familiar, not only to James Gunn, but also to Marvel fans, as Michael Rooker, also known as Yondu, not only apparently is cast in the movie, he's been cast as King Shark, which is a character we've actually been saying should be in a Suicide Squad movie for a while now. But another Marvel character going over to a DC movie.
So, my first thing, I love Michael Rooker. I love him as an actor. I think his Yondu was fantastic. And obviously his character's dead, so he's free to do whatever he wants. But as King Shark?
I'd imagine this is going to be a very CGI-heavy character, but also I read this more as James Gunn and Michael Rooker are really close friends. When James Gunn had all those allegations against him for different things, for all those tweets that he sent all those years ago, one of the very first people to come out and defend him was Michael Rooker. So I think this, more than anything, just comes across as kind of a show of appreciation on James Gunn's part.
Okay, I'm on board. Yeah, I can see that. I still, the part of me that's apprehensive is just look at Croc in the first Suicide Squad.
Well, you're going to have a competent director do this one.
I mean, that's
okay. I'll backtrack on that. David Ayer is a very competent and great director. I loved Fury. It's one of the best Shia LaBeouf performances I've seen in a long time. But there's this heavy studio interference. I think this time James Gunn will be left to do what he does best. So I think he'll have a much better outing this time around.
That's definitely my concern. I think, and until everything's confirmed and we have a picture of him, I will continue to be concerned. Because Killer Croc is an awesome villain. I mean, he's B-level at best, but he's got a great look and he's dangerous as all get out. But the Killer Croc we got looked like just a science freak.
Somehow, he got nominated for an Academy Award, though.
Really?
The costume and makeup for Suicide Squad, yeah, for Killer Croc.
Really?
I don't know why, man.
You can barely tell what he is. Anyway, okay, whatever.
He still looks better than the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man.
I'll fight you on that one. But
I'm just bitter because the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man looks nothing like the lizard from the comics.
He looks close.
No.
He looks closer.
He wears the white
Killer
lab
Croc
coat
looked.
for literally a second.
Okay, whatever, fine.
The
Whatever.
jacket's
Let's move
wrong.
on. All
The
right?
snout is wrong.
No. Okay, we're gonna get in an argument here, and let's prevent that. Let's just move on.
You know what we need for this? Mortal Kombat,
Yes, I'll fight you to the death.
which is coming. So the Mortal Kombat franchise has had its ups and its downs, mostly downs when it comes to cinematic outings. You had the so bad it's good Mortal Kombat, then you had the so bad it's bad Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and wasn't there like some straight to DVD ones with Michael Jai White or something?
It wasn't straight to DVD. It was a web series.
Okay, something along those lines. Yes.
Yes. I watched like an episode or two of it, and it wasn't too bad actually.
It's got to be better than the movies. Well, we bring up Mortal Kombat because it seems to be now that we're getting a new Mortal Kombat movie from James Wan, the guy behind Aquaman, one of the Fast and Furious movies. I forget which one. A ton of successful horror franchises. Now, it is very important to note he's just producing this. He's not directing, but he's just producing it. And the film is actually going to start shooting later this year in Australia. I'm already thinking that this is going to be better than the previous Mortal Kombat just because of who's attached to it, and it's hard to get worse than Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
You're not wrong. The other thing too, though, that I think it does have going for it is James Wan, who's an incredible director and has proven that he can take properties that in the past have no respect. Nobody's had yeah, exactly, and turn them into incredible epics.
He's got quite a hot streak right now. It Fast 6 or Fast 7 that he did that was super successful. Aquaman was super successful. The 2 Conjuring films that he's done, super successful. First Insidious, which he did. He's on a hot streak, man. So if he can bring his magic to Mortal Kombat and bring his... I would love to see some of the his horror mindset in play for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Mortal Kombat, to me at least personally, is a hard movie to adapt for a film, considering it's a fighting game. It's like we jokingly said last week, Super Smash Brothers movie. That'd be a really hard movie to pitch. And I've always thought Mortal Kombat has that hurdle to overcome as well.
Yes. I will say, and this is really reaching, but have you ever seen the Tekken movie?
There's a Tekken movie?
I'll take that as a no. Albeit it's not a good movie, but it's better than the Mortal Kombat movies. The big thing that they do, though, is that they weave the tournament into the tapestry of the world. It's not like, oh, hey, we're a bunch of fighters, let's fight. No, it's a competition because all these corporations own the planet, and whoever wins gets a certain amount of extra money for their whatever, their little corporate stuff. So like, and then your main character is someone who's an underdog, who is from the people's champ, blah, 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 story. But the big thing that they do is they're not just like they don't do what the original Mortal Kombat films do, in that, hey, there's a tournament, people are going to fight in it, here we go. Like, you can't do that. We're not going to care about the characters if you don't give us some kind of story.
Yeah, it's just how is this going to work? That being said, we didn't think Groot and Rocket could actually work in a movie, and we see that all the time now. We're used to it. I think we're willing to make the leap if the story's good enough. I have faith in the people making this thus far, and who knows? It'll probably be better than the Sonic movie.
That's not a probably. It'll definitely be better.
Yeah, and I'm sure once we get close to this Mortal Kombat movie, whenever that comes out, we'll do like a video game movies video at some point. Or not video, podcast episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really starting to think that the movie that we're going to talk about for the next news topic is cursed. I am really genuinely starting to think this. So the next Bond film, the 25th Bond film, that doesn't really have a name yet, it's just Bond 25, once again has a delay in its production. This time, it was something that happened on set. So thus far, let's recap why I think Bond 25 has been cursed. It had Danny Boyle originally attached to direct. He dropped out to do something else. We got a new director. Daniel Craig has been very vocal about not wanting to come back. They more or less had to beg and plead for him to come back for one more Bond movie. It was delayed for this, that, and the other reason. Now they finally started filming. They were on set. They were actually filming a scene. And Daniel Craig breaks his foot or some form of an injury that production, not just delayed, production has been stopped. So apparently he was running on the beach in Jamaica like Bond does, and he did something to his foot, and the production has ceased. Not delayed, it has ceased for the time being. They can't really do anything. This movie, I'm saying it now, this movie's cursed.
Jeez. Well, I mean, anytime you bring back an actor that doesn't necessarily want to do the role anymore.
And is also, let's be fair, a little bit older by Bond years.
Yeah, exactly. But they've been telling that story even in Skyfall. They were saying, "Hey, man, like you're a little older now." Like, so they're already telling that story. But at the same time, like, it does feel like it's cursed.
And if I'm the crew, I got to be so discouraged of just like, all right, we finally got the ball rolling. We finally got some momentum. And now we have to stop again. I like Daniel Craig's Bond. He's not my favorite. That'll always be Sean Connery. I always think Sean Connery will always be the best James Bond until Henry Cavill takes his spot. But to me, at least personally, just because of how much I really did not like Spectre, I just kind of want to get this last Daniel Craig one out of the way so we can get a new Bond and get some fresh take to it. Because thus far, the Daniel Craig movies, he bats 500. Casino Royale, great. Quantum of Solace, to a lot of people, it's one of the worst Bond movies. Skyfall, the very first Bond movie I ever saw. I absolutely love that one. I think that's one of the best Bond movies they've ever made. Spectre, I hate Spectre. That movie was terrible. It was Skyfall, just not very good. So, Daniel Craig, while he's a good Bond, hasn't necessarily been in the best of Bond movies. So I kind of just want to be like, okay, yeah, Daniel Craig, move on to Tomb Raider 3 or something.
Well, I mean, for Daniel, I feel him, man. Like, he's kind of gotten typecasted, and because of these movies, he really hasn't been able to go do anything else.
Yeah. I've also not been a huge fan of I liked it in Skyfall, but then they keep going back to it of like old man Bond, of I want prime Bond. I want a young Bond that's like top of his game. And we haven't really gotten that with Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It would be boring. And I would love to see him in some other things. I mean, having Daniel Craig actually play somebody in the Star Wars universe would be fun. Having him, I don't know.
He was a stormtrooper.
That's why I said actually play somebody. But have him be a villain in the new Indiana Jones film would be cool.
Dude.
I know, right? I just pulled that right out of my butt. Like, that was cool.
He would be this is going to sound awful, and I don't mean this, Daniel, but he would be a perfect Nazi.
Yeah. No,
blonde hair, blue eyes. He would be a perfect Nazi general.
That's what I'm saying. He'd make a great...
Again, that sounds awful, but I don't mean it like that.
Yeah, no, I get you, dude, and I'm sure he understands too, but... Because we have a close personal connection with Daniel Craig.
I would love to see him as a Indiana Jones villain, or just a villain in general.
So like I'm feeling this from his perspective because he's kind of been stuck in this Bond world. Like, I mean, even Batista was in a Bond film, but look how much
the best thing about that Bond movie,
which is Batista in general is becoming one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. So. There's that.
He literally only said one word in Spectre, and he was already the best thing about it.
Exactly. But regardless, like I feel for the guy. like you can only do so much as Bond. And, you know, after four almost now 5 movies for him, like, yeah, man, it's time to move on.
Well, somebody that's not moving on is Blumhouse, as they are planning another Purge movie, Purge V, coming summer 2020. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. The last Purge was fantastic.
The first Purge?
No,
which is super confusing. The first Purge is the most recent one that came out. But when you say the first Purge, my first thought is the first one in the series?
Yeah, no. So the most recent one, actually, I really enjoyed.
See, I think it's the weakest one. I wasn't as big a fan of the most recent one.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong one. I didn't see the first Purge. I saw the one.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
that.
the first Purge as a title is super confusing.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's not. I didn't really. It was good.
It was a prequel, but it's not in the main timeline. I like the main timeline Purges.
Dude, yes, and the most recent one in the main timeline is incredible.
I think the second one is still my favorite, just because it's Frank Grillo on a revenge mission, and I love Frank Grillo, and they really utilized, I think, the concept the best in the second one. So, spoiler alert, for those of you who care, the third Purge film, and the reason why the fourth one in the franchise, aka the first Purge, was a prequel, is because at the end of the third one, the government official lady that Frank Grillo has been protecting officially ends the Purge. The Purge is no longer a thing. However, not as many people were in favor of getting rid of the Purge as we as an audience were led to believe, so now there's riots in the streets of pro-Purge and anti-Purge, so it seems like there's going to be a whole new dynamic there. While we don't know when this is going to take place, whether it's a set between Purge 4 or the original Purge film, so first Purge or the original, whether it's set between that, I honestly would much rather see it set after Purge 3 of what happens after the Purge is gone. How does society react after that?
Well, yeah, and how do you rebuild from years of killing? Like, how do you rebuild from that?
Exactly. As a whole, I know people like to bash on the Purge of just like, it takes itself way too seriously. It doesn't. It knows what it is, and it has fun doing it, but it also raises some serious questions at times that makes me think at times, and shouldn't movies do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think even from the first one on, the first one was surprising because it did its job really well. Yeah, it was, oh man, there's this very unique political situation. Oh man, there's people trying to break into the house. Oh, that's really scary. But like, it does do that thing that good movies do, in that, oh man, like if this is what is going on, what's happening, in the rest of the world? What's happening on the other side of the country? What does the Purge look like in elsewhere outside of our little movie here? And that's what the second and third one do very well, is they do expand the world very well.
Yes, with each film, they added on to the established lore of the universe more and more, which I really appreciated. So while they may not be always the most critically well-received films, I actually really enjoy the Purge franchise, and I'm actually really excited to see what direction we take a new film.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't there a TV show coming out here soon?
There was a season. I don't know if it was renewed for more seasons or not. It was like a limited miniseries.
Okay, that's what I thought. I hadn't seen any.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I just know it was on USA because I saw it all the time on Raw and SmackDown commercials.
Yeah.
Now, a sequel that I'm not really excited for, and I should preface this by saying this is just kind of a rumor, and he may have been misquoted when he said it, but the director of the John Wick trilogy came out and said that the Wachowski siblings are working on a new Matrix sequel. Now, his publicist came out and said that he was misquoted later, but this to me seemed more like Damage Control, and there might actually be a chance that the Wachowskis are working on a sequel. Now, let us also say that the Wachowskis working on a sequel and someone greenlighting a sequel for them are two completely different things.
Yes.
Because the Wachowskis can say they're working on a Matrix sequel all they want. If I'm a studio exec, they're not getting a dime from me.
No, not at all.
Because over the past few years, they've gambled big and they've lost big. I know you love Speed Racer, but that was a very expensive movie and it lost the studio a lot of money. You had that. You had the third Matrix, which was not well received. You had Cloud Atlas, which was also very poorly received. But then you had the crown jewel of turds that was Jupiter Ascending.
Bro.
Not only was that poorly received by critics and audiences, it lost the studio a ton of money. With the Wachowskis, it's a matter of they've had huge swing and a miss after huge swing and a miss financially. So any studio that wants to back them, they're going to have to be willing to gamble big. And honestly, I don't know if the interest for Matrix is there anymore.
I agree. I do have questions, I guess. I was actually, weirdly enough, talking 2 days ago with some of the guys I work with about what would happen after, Matrix, what is the last one? Like Matrix Reloaded? Is that the last one? I don't remember.
It's Matrix Reloaded, and Matrix Revolutions.
Revolutions, there it is. After Revolutions, what the world would look like after after Neo does all those things. What does that actually change? And actually seeing the aftermath of that battle and what life looks like now that the Matrix is dead. So I don't know, man. There's potential. I think if pitched right, I think the audience could be interested. But like you said, Wachowskis have let us down. How many times in recent years?
Quite a bit.
Exactly. They're not the name in Hollywood they used to be.
They're almost kind of a laughing stock at this point. If you talk about directors that used to be big but aren't anymore, you got the Wachowskis, you got your Shyamalans. Those are like the real big punching bags nowadays.
Yes. And, but hey, you know what? We never thought that M. Night Shyamalan would make a good movie. And
then he had two, and then he fell right back into his old habits with Glass.
I agree, but we never thought he could. And when Split was kind of announced, everyone was like, "Oh, okay, it's an M. Night Shyamalan."
The secret to Shyamalan's success: there are two things that work in Shyamalan's favor to make good movies: low budget and no expectations.
Exactly. And
when he has a bigger budget, Avatar, not even Avatar, The Last Airbender, I mean. When he has big budget and high expectations, Glass, The Last Airbender, that's when he crumbles. But when he has a movie like The Visit that no one knew was coming, wasn't expecting to be good, knocks it out of the park.
Exactly. And you know what? Who am I to say that the Wachowskis can't come back? Especially going back to their roots, the thing that made them good in general, that really put their name on the map anyway. If the story's good and if the story's there, sure, why not? But like you said, I at this point I highly doubt that a studio would back it.
Yeah. Even if a studio backed it, I don't think I would be interested in seeing it. Even with Keanu, who is the subject of our discussion today, in honor of the John Wick trilogy capper. We'll see how the film shakes up with John Wick 3, Parabellum. We're going to be talking about the best / our favorite action movies because we needed to have something action related for John Wick 3. So before we get into the main discussion, Josh, you got a sponsor for us this week?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sponsor this week is Slim Chickens. I don't go there for the food. I go there for the collector's cups.
Wait, what is this place?
It's a chicken place called Slim Chickens.
Sure.
Yeah, that is a play on the rule on the term slim pickings, but it's good. It's a Southern thing. Most people don't get it. Do you know what Canes is?
Yeah, he's the mayor of Knox County.
Anyway, no, the restaurant.
Sure.
That's a no. Never mind then. Hey, some of you know what I'm talking about. All right, that's all that matters.
So John Wick is one of the best action franchises going nowadays, even if they're not financially successful.
Correct.
Which it actually blew my mind when I looked at the box office tallies of the first two movies, and they're not very high. But the thing is, they're not very expensive.
No, they're not.
So I feel like if we're doing this in honor of John Wick 3, we need to obviously start the conversation with the fantastic trilogy that is the John Wick trilogy. These movies, more action movies need to be like John Wick. I love these movies so much.
Well, so the big theme that we're gonna kind of come across here is action movies have changed a lot over the years, and the way that John Wick is done, from the way that it is shot to the way that the scenes are set up to the way that the story is built, is completely different from everything that the modern action movie has done.
Yeah, it's clear cinematography. You can clearly see what's happening. You can tell that it's Keanu Reeves doing his own stunts, doing these long takes, and I love the cinematography. I love the color palette. I think one of the best scenes in the whole series is the nightclub fight in the first John Wick, just because the color palette, the cinematography that they use for it just looks amazing.
Well, and the big thing is that it's such a simple premise. The first movie.
Yeah, you killed my dog. I kill everyone.
It's almost too simple. Like, it feels like if you told somebody that hadn't seen John Wick and been like, "This is the story," it feels like it shouldn't work on paper, like at all. But
and then you also say, "Hey, it's a first-time director who used to be a stuntman."
Exactly. There's that. And then you have Keanu, who hasn't, and we love Keanu, but he hasn't exactly been known for his acting ability up until that.
But yet he was born to be John Wick. He's fantastic in this role.
He's so good. And you add in that little flavor that he's doing all of his own stunts, including all of the shooting. And like, the man can shoot. I don't know if you've seen the videos.
Oh yeah.
Of him. Dude, did you see the one they just I just saw surface of Halle Berry doing it too?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I just saw it. I saw it this afternoon. Of Halle Berry doing the same course and doing just as well.
Huh. Yeah, I could talk on John Wick all day, but there would be no John Wick, and as great as John Wick as he is a protagonist, as great as he is, to me, there's always one action movie protagonist that'll be better than anyone else when he's actually trying, as he doesn't in the sequels. And it's the greatest action movie, one of, if not the greatest action movie of all time. Josh, you know where I'm going with this. Yeah. It is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
Die Hard.
Oh, man, they're great. The first one, and honestly, I will say the second one as well.
Oh, yeah, I love the first two.
Pretty good. The first two are fantastic.
I actually have a soft spot for the fourth one, too. Live Free or Die Hard.
Is that the one where his kid is grown up?
Yes, and he crashes a helicopter with a car.
Yes. Okay.
It's ridiculous, but I still enjoy it.
They're fantastic movies in general, and the art of a good action film is built by this first Die Hard.
And it all comes down to, we said it with John Wick, but super simple premise of a Nakatomi Plaza gets taken over by terrorists, played by Alan Rickman in his first ever performance and one of his best ever as the great villain.
Oh, yeah.
And a dude more or less has to save everybody. That's it. And that theme I'll bring up again for another action movie later that I've written down. But Die Hard the thing that sets Die Hard apart from a lot of other action movies of its time, and to me is the main reason more than any other that it has survived for as long as it has, is Bruce Willis's John McClane is not a superhero. He's a normal dude. When he has to walk through the glass, you feel that. He's not indestructible. He's human. He's relatable. He's a dude that doesn't want to be at this party. He knows things aren't... He obviously doesn't know that a terrorist organization is going to attack, but even before that, you can tell he doesn't want to be at this Christmas party. He doesn't like people. He doesn't want to be there. He's just a relatable person. And to me, anytime you have a movie, you need to be able to relate to the characters, especially in an action movie that often gets overlooked because action movies are wish fulfillment. But John McClane...
They really are.
You see yourselves as John McClane. He's a very relatable and human character, and that's something that the most recent one, A Good Day to Die Hard, kind of forgot about, making him more or less a Terminator. But the first one is the classic because he's just human.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, too, is he does the entire movie basically barefoot.
Yeah.
And it's... and that's the thing that he gets lucky, like really lucky, the entire movie, and you can kind of see it in John's face most of the time of just like, wow, I got really lucky on that one. All right, cool, let's go.
And that's back in the day when Bruce Willis still cared and still tried. However, there's another Bruce Willis one that I'll talk about. Actually, I'll talk about it now. I was going to save it for later, but I'll talk about another Bruce Willis action series that I think often gets overlooked, but I personally really, really enjoy, and that's the Red series.
Oh. I thought you were going to talk about the Hudson Hawk.
What?
The Hudson Hawk!
I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Oh my gosh, you don't know about the Hudson Hawk?
No.
Okay, look, that's your homework, man. I can't believe there's a movie that I've seen that's like kind of mainstream that you haven't seen. Oh man, no, just go look it up. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yes, the Red series, it's fantastic.
I like the first one better than the second one because the second one I feel like they had added more humor but took away some of the great action, whereas the first one has like Carl Urban as your main, not necessarily antagonist, but cop that's trying to catch them. Red stands for retired and extremely dangerous. You have some of the craziest people on earth, played by Bruce Willis and John Malkovich, who I'm not sure if he's acting in this or not.
No, I don't think he is, man. I'm pretty sure he's just that nuts.
Yeah, he keeps a bazooka in a stuffed pig.
No.
He lives in a boat.
It's
under a boat.
He keeps it's like a Magnum, like a huge pistol in that thing. Because there's that lady stalking them at the airport, and he just like whips it out and shoots her.
Old man.
Oh, it's so good. I completely forgot about that series, man. But I'm gonna have to go see if I can find it.
Considering who all is involved with it, everyone seems to be having the time of their lives with it. Bruce Willis seems to be having fun. John Malkovich seems to be having fun. Helen Mirren with a machine gun seems to be having fun with it.
In general, it's a fun movie to watch.
Oh yeah, and I have a huge man crush on Carl Urban, which again, I'm gonna ride the Segway train all night because Carl Urban is next up in one of my all-time favorite action movies, and by far one of the most underrated. You know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
Dredd.
Not to be confused with Sylvester Stallone's Judge Dredd.
Yes, this one's actually good.
Yes. Carl Urban as Judge Dredd is surprisingly awesome.
One of the best casting choices in any comic book movie ever made.
Now, don't get me wrong, right? Like, this movie, and this is a theme we'll see throughout, our discussion tonight or in this episode of action movies. It's incredibly simple.
Yeah, I said earlier with the Die Hard premise of a movie I was going to talk about later, this is it. It's one dude, except this time he has a telepathic sidekick. It's a small group of people, one person or two people, against a whole building of criminals. And it's great.
It really is. And part of that is just getting to see Carl Urban be the just awesome, destructive force that we all know he actually is.
Yeah, because of Dredd, I really wanted Carl Urban to be Batman for a while there, and we didn't get it. So all you Game of Thrones people are complaining about how evil Cersei is for all these years, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't see her as Cersei. I see her as Mama from Dredd.
Yeah.
And she is evil. Like, a lot of times in action movies, you have your villain, like, over the top, so it's more heroic when the hero beats them. Mama is pure and simple evil. This woman is wicked in the best possible way, and she's enjoying every minute of it. It utilizes some really interesting techniques that I really like. So normally I don't like slow motion. I think it's weird. How it's utilized in this film is really cool. There's a drug called slow-mo that makes the world slow down for you, and Mama uses it as a torture device for people, like throws them over railings and they fall very, very slowly to their death, or people like just take it just to experience the world very, very slowly. And the way they use slow-mo from a visual standpoint looks amazing in the film. I will say, however, some of the CGI isn't particularly good. Like some of the CGI blood squibs look atrocious.
Oh, no. They're terrible.
But it doesn't take you out of it. It's also one of the few movies that I've seen that's clearly 3D, but the 3D actually works for it.
Yes.
And it's just a fantastic movie. It's how Dredd should be, and I'm really disappointed we'll never get a sequel.
No, and we won't, but that's okay, man.
Yeah, because Dredd flopped, but it found new life. I saw it on Blu-ray when it came out later.
Status. It's got that cult status.
Yeah, and it always will. I've labeled off a bunch in a row. So, Josh, what are some of your all-time favorite or some of the best action movies that you've seen?
Let's go with, and don't laugh at me, because we both know I have a huge man crush on Jason Statham, but the man,
yes, you do.
But the man knows how to make an action movie. Like between Transporter, Crank, Blitz, I could name off movie after movie. Like Jason Statham movies are the pinnacle of action films. Super simple premise, easy to understand main character, and you're behind him beating the crap out of the bad guys. Boom, done.
Just Jason Statham in general.
Yeah, Jason Statham in general. Let's see. Let's pull something out of my butt. I'm pretty sure this is a Wachowski movie. I'd have to go back and look, but it's called Ninja Assassin.
Is that a Wachowski one?
I'm almost certain. I'll when you go to ramble off some more, I'll we're gonna do this live. I'll go Google it.
Well, obviously there's some big name ones. Die Hard is like the go-to for action movies. But if you want to think about stereotypical, this is an action movie, if ever there was an action movie, the Rambo movies.
Oh, of course.
I thoroughly enjoy most of the Rambo movies. I'm kind of on the fence about 3. To me, I'm kind of up in the air of whether I like 1 or 4 the best. I actually really like the one from 2000, was it 8? Where Rambo's a little bit older.
Oh, yes. No, I remember that one. That was actually, I remember enjoying that one.
I forget, when that came out, but I really enjoyed that one. As a series, I really enjoy Rambo. I remember watching them with my dad and being surprised when we saw the first one, because, you picture Rambo as the shirtless guy with the bandana that has just 2 machine guns that mows everybody down. I was amazed when I watched the first one that only one person dies and dies accidentally. Like, the first one is not what you at all associate with Rambo. Like how Friday the 13th is known for Jason with the hockey mask. Rambo as like the stereotypical macho man with the big guns and kills a whole bunch of people didn't come around until like the sequels.
Yeah.
Because the first one is very much this Vietnam vet has PTSD big time.
Okay. Yeah, real quick update. Ninja Assassin is not a Wachowski movie. I don't know why I thought that. I'm just stupid, I guess. Wait, no, it is. It's produced. It was produced by the Wachowskis.
Oh, okay.
So that makes sense. Anyway, we can move on with our lives.
But yeah, the first Rambo is much slower than I was anticipating. It's very much a PTSD type movie.
Yeah, I agree. And really, that's the direction that they needed to take it. And so far, Sylvester Stallone has been really good at knowing his characters that he plays well and taking them in new, fresh directions, which is, you know what? That might be what he's doing with this new Rambo movie, because there's another one coming out, isn't there?
Yep. By the end of the year, where he takes on the Mexican cartel.
Exactly. That's exactly where his character needs to go at this point.
Hopefully to the grave.
Doubt it.
Well, the rest of mine are more recent movies, but one of them does involve Sylvester Stallone, or couple movies involve Sylvester Stallone. Where am I going with this one, Josh?
Well, I mean, The Expendables, at least the first two, are fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not as keen about the third one. I actually don't even really enjoy the first one that much. To me, it's the first one. No, it's the second one, I mean. The second Expendables is my favorite, purely and simply because Chuck Norris is in it. And he tells Chuck Norris jokes.
They acknowledge him in the best way, too.
Yes, he's like, I got bitten by a rattlesnake. After 3 days of agonizing pain, the snake died. And he takes out like a small army by himself, including a tank.
It's incredibly fun to watch.
It's the most Chuck Norris, and like they use him as the ultimate. So this is going to piss some people off, but it's such a fair comparison. The Expendables uses Chuck Norris like Endgame uses Captain Marvel.
Exactly.
He's just there to destroy, because if they kept him in the whole time, he would be an unfair game breaker.
He's the best. I'm not going to say he's the best part of that movie, but he's a great addition. He's a great addition.
But also, the first one, I felt like the first Expendables took itself way too seriously and like tried to be serious, and this is a hardcore action movie. Whereas the second one, everyone busts out their signature phrases at least once or twice. Like, Arnold's like, I'll be back. And Bruce Willis is like, you've been back enough. I'll be back. And then Arnold's like, yippee-ki-yay. Like, that type of stuff is great to me. The fan service in that. And
I agree. And
they didn't skip out on the action either.
Yeah, exactly. They never skipped. And I think the one thing I do enjoy about the third one is, and you're not going to be surprised in this, is Mel Gibson's performance. I love him as a villain.
Yeah, because he's kind of nuts in real life.
Well, yes, but I love him as a villain. And just his demeanor, the way that he looks in general, fits for a fantastic action movie villain.
Now, I don't think we'll ever get another Expendables, which makes me sad because I wanted two things from an Expendables movie that we'll never get. One, Jackie Chan. Maybe have a Jackie Chan Jet Li fight. I know we got that in Forbidden Kingdom, but
we didn't really want that in Forbidden Kingdom because of all the wire work. Anyway, I'm not bitter.
But also, I wanted them to reveal that the person that trained all of them was Sean Connery.
Yes. Either that or Liam Neeson.
No, the sad thing is Liam Neeson is all about the same age as them, if not younger.
That's true.
So Sean Connery would have just been like, as a nice tip of the cap to Bond, would have been great.
That would have been nice. And honestly, it would have been nice just to see Sean again.
Yeah, because his lasting image now is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Exactly. The man deserves something.
Now,
but speaking of Liam Neeson.
Oh, you going Taken?
Oh, I'm so going Taken. And only
Taken
the first one.
And that's it.
Yes. I do not acknowledge the other two.
2 isn't
but
awful, but 3 is.
No, yeah, exactly. But the first one first of all, I don't think we'd ever seen, at least I personally had ever seen Liam Neeson do an action film.
No, I'd seen him do like some physicality in roles, like Ra's al Ghul, like 2 years earlier in Batman Begins. But yeah, like straight up action. He was more of a dramatic guy, like Rob Roy, Schindler's List.
Exactly, like which I think is why Taken works so much, because because despite all the action, Liam's acting his butt off in this movie.
Yeah, and throat punching fools too.
Yeah, where's my daughter, fool? Oh man, he's fantastic. He really is. He's the Jason Bourne's dad.
Which that's another great action series.
See, okay, so I considered that more of a spy thriller.
Yeah, so that's very true. Those are more spy thrillers.
Because you and I did have that discussion off air of what's considered just pure action and what's considered, other genres. Because then technically, we could consider Aliens 2 an action movie.
I almost put Predator on the list.
Oh yeah, Predator is definitely on the list.
I don't know. I think of that one. Maybe that's just my mindset. I think of it more as a horror movie. Now, Predators with Adrian Brody, that's an action movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and technically speaking, we could be. Most people will probably consider Mission Impossible. Those movies would
spy movies.
Yeah, exactly. But they're definitely more spy. Although, if you were like, "Hey, let's watch an action movie," and if somebody's like, "Hey, let's watch Mission Impossible," that's still there.
Oh yeah. You got any others? Because I got 2 big ones that I'm going to take it home. Of one that everyone seems to love, and the one that not a lot of people love, but it's my favorite action movie.
The Lethal Weapon series.
Oh yeah,
and I don't care what people say. I love the last couple ones in there. Yes. The one with Jet Li and I think there's another one that nobody likes.
The 4th one?
But yes, I just enjoy the crap out of these movies. And it's mainly because Mel Gibson and Danny Glover's chemistry is so entertaining.
Yeah, they're more or less the template for every buddy cop movie, like Tango and Cash later, which I have a soft spot for.
Yeah. I mean, but Lethal Weapon, I don't know why, man. It's to me that you have this crazy dude who has no real direction in life, and you have this, old vet who he's kind of done. He's done everything.
He's too old for this.
Yes, he is. Have you seen Maverick?
No.
Okay, so real quick, and I only bring Maverick up whenever I talk about Lethal Weapon, and the reason for that is it's another movie that stars Mel Gibson, and he's a poker player and it takes place in the Old West, right? So there's a specific scene where Maverick is getting money from a bank to go to a card game, and the bank gets held up. And this really tall black dude walks in. He's asking everybody for money, blah, blah, blah.
And isn't it Danny Glover?
And it turns out to be Danny Glover. The robbery goes south. Danny hits his typical line, "I'm getting too old for this." And there's a moment when he goes to run, when Mel Gibson and Danny Glover make eye contact, and they both tilt their head and go, "I feel like I know you from somewhere." And then something happens, and they have to run away. It's so great.
That is fantastic.
Maverick is a good movie to watch. It's not an action movie, but I'd recommend it to people.
You got any others? Because I have one that I feel like might be on your list as well.
I'm trying to think, because we've definitely narrowed down the list quite a bit, so that definitely helps.
Your Mel Gibson is actually a perfect segue too, because while he may not be in this one in particular, but Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, absolutely.
That one I feel like revitalized the action genre.
It really did, and it made post-apocalyptic actually feel fresh, which is weird.
Which is hard to do because it feels like at times nowadays we get too much post-apocalyptic and it's hard to make that feel new and exciting. But Fury Road absolutely did it.
It really did. And I don't know, this is going to sound like such a movie snob, but I don't know if you've seen like the director's cut or whatever, but there's some few extra scenes in there that helped make it that big, much bigger of a movie for me. Because when I saw it in theaters, originally my one complaint was I didn't feel like we got enough of Mad Max doing his thing. And in the director's cut, they show him doing more stuff.
Interesting.
Which is weird, that you can be like, Josh, have you seen this very popular movie that's, widely, recognized as a mainstream movie? No.
Shazam.
Josh. Yeah. Have you seen the director's cut of Mad Max Fury Road? Yeah. Ask me why? No clue. I don't know why.
Because Fury Road is great.
It is, but I don't know how I got a hold of a copy to watch the director's cut.
No idea. You got any others?
No, man, that kind of wraps it up. But given that we narrowed the category so much.
I've got one more that I saved for last because this one I've had to defend it a couple of times, but this to me is one of, if not my all-time favorite action movie. It's not the best by any means, but it's the one I always get the most enjoyment out of, and I feel like it gets hated on for unfair reasons, and it absolutely deserved a sequel, but we'll never get it. Liam Neeson's A-Team.
Oh, A-Team. A-Team, yes.
With Bradley Cooper as Face, Charlotte Copley as Murdoch, and the best casting ever, and Rampage Jackson as B.A. Baracus.
Oh, and it's so good.
I always watch the extended cut because there's like an extra 20 or 30 minutes, and it's just great. The action is so on point. It feels like the original show, but what I like more than anything is the chemistry is so spot on of Liam Neeson, great as what is his name? I'm blanking on his name. Hannibal. Liam Neeson, spot on as Hannibal. Charlotte Copley as Murdoch. Pitch perfect. When he's on the helicopter, you spin me right. That was the moment I was like, I'm going to love this movie. Bradley
absolutely.
Cooper, perfect as Face. B.A. Baracus, who did not have that much acting experience, played by Rampage Jackson, was great. Didn't try to be Mr. T, but was still embodied the essence of the character. Then the one everyone always forgets about, Patrick Wilson was in it. Before he was Orm, before Insidious, before Conjuring, he was Lynch.
Yeah.
And he was great. He was slimy, but had personality. He was great. I so thoroughly enjoy A-Team. Not nearly enough people have seen it. I get so much of a kick out of A-Team.
Oh, dude, and the way they always have to knock Rampage Jackson out before they go flying or do something stupid, it's the best.
Who made this special tapenade? I didn't knock you out. That was Hannibal and Face. It was just great.
It's really entertaining, and Bradley Cooper's actually really good in it as well.
Everyone's cast so perfectly. Jessica Biel is perfect as Face's love interest character. I love the opening with the helicopter chase.
Yep.
And then Alpha, Mike, Foxtrot, Adios, Mother, and then the missiles come in after they've gone cold, and you're like, oh, yes.
It's a super cool movie.
I think my favorite, I always die laughing, is when they first take off with the helicopter and he drops the air conditioning unit on BA's van.
Yes.
And he's like, you crushed my van, I'm going to kill you, fool. You can't park there. That's a handicap zone.
Oh, man.
And then Murdoch is like trying to jumpstart an ambulance with a defibrillator.
Oh, man. And the fact that they have to break him out of a mental institution is...
And he stitches up BA's arm with a lightning bolt.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's not nearly enough people talk about this movie anymore, and I know it flopped theatrically. I love A-Team so much. It makes me laugh every time. There's some great action involved with it. There's chemistry between all the actors that just flows and makes the movie that much better. I'm disappointed we'll never get a sequel because A-Team is one of my all-time favorite action movies, and I'll die on my hill for that movie. I love it.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, what are some of your guys' favorite action movies? Let us know in the comments below. We always love hearing from you guys. And as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you hear us on, whether that be Google Podcasts, iTunes, or now, we are also now available on Spotify. Woohoo! So be sure to listen to us there as well. And as always, be sure to subscribe to us on the main YouTube channel at Uncharted Media. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.